Hey, sorry we're late. Yeah, Palazzo Podcast. A couple minutes behind, but better late than never. I'm Michael Govier, host of the show, MJ Govier, G-O-V as in Victor, IER on Twitter. Of course, with Christopher Deary, C. Deary, 1999. Deary like dearly beloved. Chris Deary, it's our Wednesday show. We're going to talk about baseball. Are you ready?
I am excited. I am ready to roll.
Well, that's excellent news. It's always a pleasure to have you all aboard. Don't forget, Palazzo Podcast at protonmail.com. 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Utah.
Give me two.
Give me two.
Utah. We're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about? I got the document right here. I got to catch my breath here. Sorry if I'm late, folks. We're the reason. We're behind. It's my fault. We're going to talk about stats that don't lie. Time to get some tough truth sent our way. All of us are in for a reality check. We're going to play some Would You Rather, Fantasy Baseball Edition. Guess that runner-up fab bid, everyone's new favorite game of the 2021 season. People just can't get enough of it. And we're going to talk about Shine or Ride the Pine. The results are finally in, Deary. You did it. How did you finally finish this document?
Yeah, I sent those over to you. So I did them by division. And I mean, if you were a part of the Shine or Ride the Pine and you were on our show as a guest within the last 5 months or so, then you're going to be on that document somewhere. So search around, look at some of your idiotic picks, your idiotic Shine or Ride the Pines. It's been really fun to kind of look at them, especially some of the ones that we made in like January or February with guys that just aren't getting the innings that we expected they would get, or they're not even in the rotation. But it's going to be really fun to breeze through and look through that stuff as we move on in the season.
Yeah, you did an excellent job. You got it all organized by teams and division tabs. This is a masterclass in Google Sheets or Excel. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
When did you get so good at Excel?
I've been doing that shit for years, ever since I got the director job 5-6 years ago over at the Y, and I work with Google Sheets and Excel often. I'm not good with like plugging in like the values and percentages and all that stuff. I don't know how that stuff works, but if I just have to put stuff in tabs and color coordinate and do that stuff, that's fun.
Well, it's excellent news. All right. Well, it's the Wednesday edition of the Palazzo Podcast, and it's time to do some housekeeping and say thank you to everybody who's been helping out and reaching out. We've had a lot of people reaching out for fantasy advice on Twitter. Well done to all of you. As the Belvedere music chimes in. Thank you for...
Uh-oh. Where did Mike go?
I'm sitting here talking the whole time, and I'm like, Deary, I'm waiting for you to respond. What the hell?
What happened?
I don't know. I guess
You disappeared.
left the studio. Anyways, I'm back. So I was asking you, we've had a lot of great responses, people checking in, asking questions about their fantasy teams. That's why you hear the Belvedere music, the housekeeping. To those of you that are listening to the podcast version of this, hopefully it'll make more sense. Live stream people, my apologies for just bailing on the show suddenly. I did not mean for that to
I got really nervous. I'm like, I'm hosting by myself now. Okay, I can do it.
You're Garth, all alone on the screen. You ever see that movie Scanners? So we had a guy, KP. KP, what up? Shout out to you, my friend. He asked me the other day, should I trade Jazz Chisholm for Ozzie Albies? Deary, what would you do?
Ooh, that's interesting. Jazz Chisholm is off to an electric start. Now at the top of the order with Marte out. Ozzie Albies is off to a slow start. I think he's batting like 140. His BABIP is really, really low right now. I think Albies will turn it around. He has 0 steals right now, but I don't know, man. He'd be getting Ozzie.
He would be getting Ozzie Albies. He doesn't want to be on the wrong side of this trade in a few months. He asked me, what would we do? What would you do? I told him that Jazz looks promising, but Albies is the clear-cut winner right now. Jazz could flame out later in the year.
Yeah, I'd probably pull that deal. I mean, we got a little more of a track record. And we've seen it with rookies that come up that have these electric starts like Jazz Chisholm is. He's like a top 50 player right now. There probably will be a little bit of regression, but he's doing some really, really nice things right now. But you'd be selling high on him right now for sure.
No doubt about it. It's amazing that we're already talking about Jazz Chisholm in conversations with Ozzy Albies and actually questioning it. That just shows you recency bias and the impressive arrival of Jazz. He is a highly touted player. He's a prospect to be reckoned with for sure.
I think what surprised me so far is the home runs. He's got, I think, 3 home runs. We didn't see much power from him from the minors. We obviously seen that he can steal bases, but the power's looking really nice.
Yeah, and the blue hair surprised us all. I did not see that coming. I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't aware of it. But I love it. Love that blue hair, Jazz. TJ Bonnet's another guy who checked in, and he wanted to know Yoan Moncada or Joe Musgrove for 2021 points leagues. Yoan Moncada or Joe Musgrove?
I mean, Joe Musgrove is electric right now.
Yeah, especially in points leagues where innings pitched matter. I love Moncada coming into the year, but right now he's Musgrove's king.
Yeah, I mean, it's a points league, so pitching is at a huge premium, and Musgrove, even after his start where he threw the no-hitter, I think he had 10 strikeouts the other night, so he is like a top-tier guy right now, and I think it's probably Musgrove. I think Moncada does bounce back, but right now it's not looking pretty.
Yeah, it is not. And then Cozy Chazzy, who's now following us. By the way, you're all following us now. Palazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's, of course. Cozy Chazzy was asking questions. This is his first time playing fantasy baseball. Right, and I got to tell you, yeah, welcome, Cozy Chazzy. Glad to have you aboard. He's at Chaz Sample on Twitter. Shout out to you, Chaz. First year playing fantasy baseball. He's got a pretty darn good team. His big issue is, what do I do in terms of picking up a closer? With Luke Voigt coming back soon, I'm looking to maybe move Nate low with Luke Voigt's arrival and maybe pick up Yimi Garcia. And I said, yeah, that's a great call. Pick up Yimi. Between Yimi and who are the other 2 guys here? It was Yimi or Graveman. And I'm like, I think Yimi is clearly the guy in Florida, and Graveman didn't get the save yesterday or on Monday, and it's a mess there. They got Montero and Graveman and former Angel Keenan Middleton. So I think it's a little more cloudy in Seattle than it is in Miami.
Yimmy's the guy. We talked about it last week. Anthony Bass has fallen to the wayside, and Yimmy's the guy, and he's been able to shut the door. So I think that is the man you want to get.
I remember Yimmy Gate. Do you remember that?
Old Yimmy Gate, yes.
That was the same guy back then?
Yeah. It was like 5 years.
Yeah, he was on the Dodgers, I think, and something dumb. Yimmy Gate was a scandal that happened in an old fantasy league that we all used to be in, where somebody picked up Yimi Garcia, but they weren't allowed to or something, and it was this whole controversy, and I had to rule on it, because at the time I was the commissioner. So
I am now the commissioner of that league.
Oh, you are? Congratulations.
I took over.
Wonderful. I thought that was like, that league was done, and it was just like rebranded. It's not called The Future anymore, though, right?
It's called Back to the Future.
Right. Okay. So there was
we redrafted 2 years ago because it just got out of control.
People got pissed at Steve because they said he was too dominant.
Well, he's just fleecing people, man. I mean, he doesn't trade with me because I'm not going to allow him to do that. But he was just fleecing people and built like just this dynasty team. And I mean, I was fine with it. I'm like, hey, these guys made these trades, but we rebooted it because we had kicked some guys out of the league and some new people had come in. So let's start it all over again.
All right. Okay. Well, Steve, friend of the show, Steve Guile, genius fantasy player in his own right. Not somebody you want to mess with. So he's definitely one of the top 3 best fantasy baseball players I've known growing up for sure.
He knows his stuff. Even the first year we redrafted, he had a rough year, finished middle of the pack, and then came back last year and won it.
Unbelievable.
And he's in first place right now.
How do you? Steve is the same Steve that was referenced on the Roto Brits pod a couple months ago when I was on with Peter and Ryan over there in the UK. And ask Steve. That's what came out of that pod. Ask Steve. Steve knows. If you want to know, ask Steve. Steve's the guy who traded Kyle Tucker in the offseason for Trevor Bauer. And right now, that looks like a good trade in a keeper league because Kyle Tucker, not so great. Everybody was predicting the rise of Kyle Tucker in 2021. We're not quite there yet.
Just got dropped in one of my other leagues. Somebody dropped him, so I do have a bid in. I do have a waiver bid in for him.
He was dropped?
He was dropped.
Is this a redraft league?
This is a redraft league.
Okay.
We play corner infield, middle infield, and a couple utilities, but we have small benches. So if you run out of IL spots and you really need to boost up your roster, like guys, like there's good players being dropped, which makes it fun for fab bids. So
yeah,
Tucker is out there. He will come off waivers tomorrow. I have a bid in, so we'll see. Shohei Ohtani as the pitcher was also dropped yesterday, so I also will put in a bid for that.
Nutty, man. People are nutty out there. Good Lord. I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. All right, this is the Plazo Podcast. Let's get into leading off. I posted the Palazzo Invitational standings on Sunday night, or Monday morning, actually, for a new week. I'm not going to cover it on every show. We'll usually check it on Sunday night, or I'll post the standings to keep everybody updated on Mondays. I think the leader was still Richard Sands as of Monday morning, so good job, Richard. I got murdered horribly, took a beating. By the time I looked at the standings on Monday, I had been shellacked because Lucas Giolito fucked everybody who owns him.
On a Monday, too.
Monday morning. I really made the effort to like, oh, it's Patriots Day. Make sure I got my Giolito start in. And apparently he's a morning person. He's not a morning person, and nobody told me this in time. All this information came out after the fact.
Maybe he was hard partying the night before, but yeah, that was a rough start. What, 8 runs in 1 inning?
It was abysmal. But, you know, Ryan Bloomfield, friend of the show, also has a Bloom board about pitchers that gave up 7 earned runs or more last year and still ended up being borderline aces. Giolito was one of them, and there was other pitchers last year. I bookmarked that tweet, I think. I'll have to check it out. But it was a good sign. Made me feel a little bit more comfortable. One start does not a season make, especially in 2021 where we have 162 to deal with as opposed to last year, which was a total bozo season. But that was disappointing. It was a disappointing way to start the week. Anyways, congratulations, Palazzo Invitational leaders. As of Monday, I was already down to 40th, and we knew Deary was at 55, I think. So we're not.
I'm bottom of the barrel.
The
me and Steve Paulo are just fighting for the bottom end of the Invitational.
Well, things are going to change this week. Other players are going to start rising up. We got more injuries too.
A long season, my friends.
Yes, Ty France. Ty France has been incredible. Everything I've said about Ty France so far has been absolutely. I didn't even have to wait for it. It's already happened. But he got hit, and he had to leave the game against the Dodgers the other day. Very disappointing. But apparently he's not majorly injured, so I'm not going to panic.
I believe he came in and pinch hit last night.
Oh, he did. Even better.
Yeah,
okay,
so
great.
So that should be good news moving forward.
Hey, Dave Petrucci in the house. What up, Dave?
Hey.
Good to see you, buddy. There it is. Is that Nintendo Golf? Dave wants to know, is that Nintendo Golf? He's asking the leading off music. This. No, that's close, though, Dave. It is Nintendo. Tell him what it is, Deary.
RBI Baseball.
Booyah! RBI Baseball 3. That's what it is, Dave. RBI Baseball 3. We used to play in Joe Corneo's basement all the time. A lot of fun there. So, yeah, Ty France, he actually stayed in that inning and scored a run, but then he left after that. He pinch hit last night. That makes me feel better. Other players are Juan Soto's on the IL, flat out. And it's not because of COVID either. We have to make this distinction between COVID IL stints and real injury stints. And he has a real injury. It's not good.
No, it's not. I mean, we keep seeing it with these, top tier guys. Ronald Acuna, abdomen issue. He sat out last night. Looks like he's sitting tonight as well. So it's frustrating if you had a Tatis, if you had an Acuna, if you had a Juan Soto. Luckily, Mike Trout's been playing every game, and he's murdering the ball as usual.
Yeah, he hit a home run today, this afternoon. So thanks, Mike. I actually, in my weekly lineup, the bi-weekly on NFBC, I started Acuna with the hope that, because they were off Monday, the Braves were starting a series with the Yankees on Tuesday. I took a risk. I figured I might as well see if Acuna plays, because the options I had beyond Acuna weren't. If he missed one game and still played the rest of the week, it would still be worth it, as opposed to me replacing him with somebody else. So I took a risk and it failed. That's what happens.
Well, I hope he comes back quickly, because I have him in my keeper league, which I'm not off to a very solid start. So I need him now.
Oh, come on, man. What's wrong? Is somebody hitting you?
It's not my fault.
It is your fault. You're running the team, dude.
It's head-to-head, man. I can't help it if someone else has an amazing week.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Luck plays a lot into head-to-head. The nightmare can continue and totally bum you out and ruin all joy in baseball. But like you said, it's mid-April. I want to talk about the catch of the day. So let's get to it, as always.
Good. Our first catch of the day.
Can I guess the catch of the day?
Sure, go ahead. I'd love you to take a stab at it.
Is the catch of the day Matt Olsen?
It's not.
It should be.
Tell him why.
Well, he hit a grand slam last night, and he hit 2 home runs today. He's absolutely murdering the ball. 6 home runs, batting over 400 the last 7 days. I'm in love with Matt Olsen. Anything you put on the inside of the plate, he is just murdering. He's staying back in the ball, and Matt Olsen is off to an incredible start. And the A's are on fire, 10 in a row.
Yeah, the A's started 0-6, and now they're on fire.
Yep.
Or I think it was 0-7, right?
There was I think they started 1-7 because they're 11-7 now.
Yeah, it's incredible. You're right. It certainly is not Kenta Maeda, who just continues to bum me out. I got a notification on Twitter today from my pal Andrew Armour. That's Armer. No relation to Pat Armour from our high school, Dave, by the way. Andrew Armour also kept Kenta Maeda in his keeper league over Corbin Burns, just like I did.
Oh, my God, no.
So we're buddies at the exact same pain. And then he notified me today. He's like, hey, MJ Govier, you tuned into that Maeda start today? Double pain. Yeah, Andrew, trust me, I understand. What people don't know about the fact that I kept Maeda was it was a panic moment because they have this Zoom conference that goes down before you announce your keepers. You have to announce them to get into the Zoom to talk with everybody about the keepers. So I was wrestling with like Maeda and Burns and a couple other guys, but I really wanted to get into the chat, so they let me in. But then they found out I hadn't submitted my keepers fully, and they're like, oh, we got to kick you out. We need your keeper right now. This really happened. And I just said, Maeda,
man.
I should have took more time. It's my fault. I'm taking responsibility, but I'm just letting you know the grave amount of stress I was under at the time. So
that's rough. Yeah, Corbin Burns is off to a historic start.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to give it to. Burns has just been killer. I mean, that's the guy. The catch of the day is Burns. 40 strikeouts, no walks.
40 strikeouts, no walks. It's never been done. It's absolutely unbelievable. He's been a joy to watch. I have one share of him, which has been unbelievably exciting for me, and it's why I'm in the top tier of this league right now that I have Mr. Corbin Burns.
Yeah, I've seen all these tweets comparing Corbin Burns' stat line versus Javi Baez because he only has like one walk to 31 strikeouts or some shit like that, which is funny. Yeah. It's funny, but come on now, easy now. Ignaruto 246855. Want to become famous? Oh, is this a bullshit comment? God damn it! This is our first spam.
We're getting
comment.
spam.
Yeah, this is our first live stream spam comment. Wow, cool. Want to become famous? Buy followers and viewers. Click this link.
Yep, join a frat. Buy your friends.
Yeah, it's from Twitch. Maybe that tells us something. Twitch. We don't have a lot of viewership on Twitch, which is unfortunate. So I want to talk about stats that don't lie. Deary, some tough truths out there we got to face. And on April 21st, one day after 420, I hope you had a wonderful 420 yesterday, Deary.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. Yeah, I worked. I came home. I watched some baseball.
Great. That's wonderful. Stats that don't lie. Zach Fleesnack. People are concerned. They feel like what we saw last year was a prelude to something even greater in 2021. But so far, that might not be true. What is something about Zach Plesac that just does not lie, stat-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't buying the hype train coming in. I said I needed to see more from him. But, I mean, the Ks are down to 17%. He's really having trouble getting out of innings when there's guys on base. His left on base percentage is 52%. Last year it was 91%, 78%, and 19%. Through 18 innings, 23 hits, 14 earned runs, and that hard hit rate is up 14% from last year. He's having really, really difficult time locating the fastball, and he's struggling right now for the Indians. It looks like Aaron Savali's been the guy, but Zach Plesac, I know it was a hot name coming into the season, and he has not looked very good through his first three starts.
Well, Bieber's been the guy, but you mean beyond Bieber?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's Bieber, and then, some people were talking about the big breakout from Savali. Who, it was basically Savali or Plesac. Plesac was kind of the guy early on in January or February that people were going after. And then Savali kind of jumped up as we got closer to the season. And Savali right now is the one outperforming Zach Plesac. So Zach Plesac needs to figure it out because he's really struggling right now.
Remember when we talked about Ramon Laureano's 8 steals on the last show?
Amazing.
They were like, he has 8 steals already. He hasn't had a stolen base since. So I told you guys that night things would slow down. They're slowing down. Nobody can steal that many bases that often.
He wasn't going to steal 190 bases.
No, not at all. We talked about Javi Baez. 1 walk to 31 Ks. That's god-awful. Those stats don't lie. The truth is in the stats there. What about Lance McCullers?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not a big Lance McCullers fan, and it's the same old problems. I mean, sure, he's only pitched 13 and 2/3 innings, but the problem is the walks. 15% walk rate right now, which is almost 6 per 9 innings. Always below league average in left on base percentage, exit velocity, and hard hit rate. But all that stuff is through the roof right now. Hard hit rate is 62% through the short, sample size we have. He's relying a ton on his off speed stuff. It's 70% of the time. And he needs to be more successful with his fastball because he's just not. He's relying too much on his slider, which is amazing, this kind of slider curveball that he throws. But people are just laying off of it, and it's why he's walking a ton of people. So Lance McCullers is really down so far.
Oh, boy. I was not a fan of Lance McCullers coming into this season. I remember talking clearly and exclusively with Jake Kalusker from Rotosaurus. Shout out to Jake. And he was not a fan either. But I saw other people were buying into it. I'm not a genius. Just know that McCullers never stays healthy. He's been healthy, though. That's not been the issue here. He's just giving up contact. That's the big problem, which is not something I was as concerned about. But maybe this is temporary. Maybe the better days are ahead. Maybe we'll do a stats that don't lie in a month and say, hey, McCullers is on a roll.
Yeah, it's just a rough start for him. Back to Javi Baez, 1 walk in 64 plate appearances, 31 strikeouts. He is on pace to murder Mark Reynolds' record of 225 Ks in a season. He is on pace for over 300 strikeouts in a season. That's insane.
My God. Yeah, that Javi Baez, I think the first week of the season, he was exciting for people. Like, oh, Javi Baez, he does have
he's got 5 stolen bases. That's so nice.
Yeah, that's nice. So it's not all hope is lost with him, but we know he doesn't walk. He also has 4 homers and 12 ribbies, so he's producing a little bit. He's never going to be a points guy when it comes to walks in OBP leagues. I've always avoided him. In my home leagues and OBP league, I will continue to avoid him.
Yeah, and the Cubs are a mess right now. I think they have the 2nd or 3rd worst run differential in the league. They just cannot score. So it's been rough if you got a Baez or a Rizzo or anybody else with the Cubs because they are really struggling right now.
Rizzo had 2 home runs Sunday night.
But he hadn't done anything before that besides, walk and bat 140 or whatever.
That is true. Yes,
he did have two home runs, though.
Bryant's also had a 2-homer game. So there's signs of life from those 2 guys, but nobody else. That's the problem. Yeah. Ian Happ has been horrible.
Oh God, I have so many shares of Ian Happ, and he's just killing me. I've just been benching him the last 3 or 4 days. He did walk a couple times last week, but he's a guy that I really expected a breakout at the top of the order for the Cubs, and it has not happened.
We got a siren alert here. Hey, everybody, it's Deary's wife. First time she showed up on the show. Hi, Christina. Hey. No, I had the wrong button. I want to cheer for her. Finally. Good to see you. Yankees fan, guys, remember that. Don't forget she's a Yankees fan.
Hello.
What about Jorge Soler?
Oh God, I'm so glad I got rid of this guy in the offseason.
You think it's a fluke? You think the 2019 was the one time where he finally cashed in and that'll be it?
Well, as of right now, it's looking like he's only got 1 home run, 37% K rate. He's more of a guy that's, in those 2 successful seasons he had, like last year he was okay. The year before that, 48 home runs was amazing. So he was more towards like a 25% K rate. 37% is not good at all. And he's just not barreling the ball up at all. 6.9%. He's a 12% for his career over the last 2 years. Now his launch angle is up a tick and his fly balls are up, but he's just hitting pop-ups and he's seeing a ton of sliders. So I think he will start to pick it up here soon, but anybody who was expecting 40 home runs from Jorge Soler, like he's really got to change some stuff in his swing. He's got to start hitting more line drives. He's got to lay off these sliders or else he's going to struggle all season.
Yeah, that's a bummer. You're right about that. Okay, cool. Well done. Nice job. You did that segment perfectly. Stats that don't lie. No bullshit there. Just the truth, guys. With Fleesnack, McCullers, Baez, and Soler, of those 4 players you mentioned here, which of the 4 are you most concerned about right now? Of those 4, like you're not expecting good things at all this year.
Well, I mean, I think Javi Baez, he's doing what he normally does. He doesn't walk and he strikes out a bit. I don't think he's going to strike out 300 times in the season. That's going to come back to earth. I'm not terribly concerned about him, but he's also not someone that I have a ton of shares in, especially in like a points league.
Right.
McCullers, he's kind of doing exactly what I would think he would do. Probably the most concerning right now is Zach Fleesnack, but it's 18 innings, so you got to give it some time. With pitchers, I think it's more of you got to wait till they have 5-6 starts before you get really concerned. I was really concerned about like a Jesus Luzardo for his first 3 starts. He had one good start against the Dodgers last night. He looked really good in 5 1/3, and I freaked out because they took him out. And I was forgetting that it was a 7-inning game. I forgot it was a doubleheader. But I think Zach Plesac probably the most concerning right now.
Oh dear, Dave McDonald would not like to hear that. Sorry, Dave. I haven't heard from Dave. He might be in hiding right now. But knowing Dave, he's not one to back down. So I don't think that's really the case. Dave will always stand up. If he's wrong, he'll admit he's wrong. But it's only 3 weeks, so
yes,
let's see how things go. But Savale's looking nice. I'm glad I got at least one share of Savale as far as Cleveland pitching goes. You're listening to the Hands of Rico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, part of the RotoFanatic Podcast Network, of course. Go to rotofanatic.com and check out our latest article from Phil Goyette and follow Phil on Twitter, Climbing the Rookie Ladder. That's what it's all about. He keeps you updated on hitters. That's right. You want to know what's going on with the rookies? How about Jazz Chisholm? We talked about Your Mind Mercedes. He's still around. Zach McKinstry, the Dodgers. Akil Baddoo, our guy, who... I don't know, Deary, you kind of quieted down a bit here. I'm a little concerned. I think we started talking about the Akil Baddoo.
I wasn't buying in, and then I was in for a couple days. And I mean, the Tigers have been a mess these last 2 series. They can't score. It's an ugly lineup to look at.
Yeah. Okay, I'll kill the Akil Baddoo song here. But why did the Tigers designate Renato Nunez when Miguel Cabrera is still on the IL and he hit some bombs for them? Was he striking out so much that they wanted Zach Short to come up and play more? Zach Short? Why?
Well, I guess they had to make room for Turnbull, but
they brought up Zach Short too.
Yeah, and now like Scope's your first baseman? I mean, apparently Cabrera is supposed to come back at the end of the weekend, but
we'll see though. That bicep's giving him trouble.
How much are you relying on him to be your first baseman? Like, Jonathan Scope is going to be your first baseman the rest of the season, like 80% of the time.
Renato Nunez was given assignment to go to Toledo before the season started.
Yes,
he accepted that, and I assume he accepted that with like the kind of a spoken agreement, like, yeah, you'll be back shortly, which he was. But then they drop him barely a week later, which is probably not the agreement he probably thought was going down.
He's probably pissed, man. I don't understand what the Tigers are doing. There's a lot of talk around town here, because we are Detroiters of when are the Tigers going to spend some money in the offseason and stop going through these 1-year deals, the Jonathan Scopes, the CJ.
Well, it's not going to be the year after the pandemic. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like they're in year 5 of a rebuild, and you can't just depend on the young rookies that are pretty much all pitchers besides, Baddoo, which was basically like a gem that they found. But when are the Tigers going to spend some money? You got to spend some money to become competitive. You can't just do it with all rookies around. So we'll see if they do something in the offseason next year. But here at the Palazzo Podcast, we're not the biggest fans of Mr. Illich. He's not the old man.
Well, you may run like Mays, but you hit like shit.
Yeah, Chris Illich is trash. Chris Illich is trash. We're not fans of Chris Illich. All right, let's move on forward here into some more fantasy talk. I want to talk about Deary's Shine Around the Pine document, which we will cover here in a bit. But I wanted to get into a little bit of a Would You Rather fantasy baseball style edition. Would you rather blah or blah? Rest of season here. Players you would rather have rest of year. Would you rather be stuck with this situation? Or, would you rather be Zach McKinstry rest of season? Or would you rather have Gleyber Torres? That's actually a legitimate argument right now because Gleyber Torres sucks. Sorry, Christina. You must be just, as a Yankees fan, you got to be pissed. Gleyber Torres is a nightmare. Apparently I saw the stat on Twitter about him being like god-awful with the bases loaded over the last couple of years. Did you see this one?
The Yankees have been god-awful with the bases loaded.
Oh, it's so bad. I want to look it up and find it. But we're doing a little would you rather. Usually it's like, hey, would you rather, eat a taco filled with poop? Would you rather have
Taco Bell versus Wendy's?
Would you rather have diarrhea for a week or eat a taco filled with poop? That's a tough one, right?
It's terrible.
I know. You think like the easy one would be, I'll have diarrhea for a week. But that takes a toll. We're talking a week, 7 days. It gets tough. Rough
would
butt.
ne-
Ravishing
you would ne-
Rick Rough Butt will be in full progress.
You would never get that taste out of your mouth. So I take the sitting on a toilet for a week.
Yeah, I've never eaten poop either, but I have my doubts. All right, so would you rather fantasy baseball style? Deary, give me your first one.
Okay, the first one is someone that we just talked about. Actually, two guys we just talked about. Jazz Chisholm versus Gleyber Torres for the rest of the season in a redraft.
Oh, by the way, here it is. This is from Katie Sharp, at KT Sharp on Twitter. Gleyber Torres is now 3 for 25 with the bases loaded since the start of 2019. 3 for 25 with the bases loaded. So.
That's awful. That's unbelievable. That's really bad.
That's really bad. The bases are loaded. You could sack fly a bunch of those. Those wouldn't count as at bats. It doesn't say RBI, so who knows? Maybe he did get a bunch of sack flies, but still, it's not productive.
I wonder what the league average is with the bases loaded. I would say it's got to be between 250 and 300. I would think.
Yeah, bases loaded league average. I'll look into that. But as far as Jazz Chisholm and Gleyber Torres rest of season redraft, I'm going to stick with Gleyber Torres.
Okay.
Because he's got a pedigree. He's had years where he's crushed the ball. He's just on a bad way right now. I know that everything seems to be trending the other way, but I'm dismissing 2020. Just forget that. In 2019, he was looking promising. He's just off to a slow start too. It's also April. It's the beginning of the year. This is when bad streaks start. I said this on the show last week. I'd rather start out crappy and finish strong. So this is fine with me. It is.
Yeah, I mean, Jazz Chisholm is off to a really great start. I mean, we see this often where guys go on these 2-3 week runs. He's walking really well, 17% rate. He's got a couple stolen bases. He's got 3 stolen bases. Actually, he has 4. He stole one today. He's now batting leadoff. He's hitting the ball to all fields. He's handling breaking pitches very well, which I love. Like Jazz Chisholm, ride that train right now. But for the rest of the season, I think it's Gleyber. He just hasn't found his groove yet. His hard hit rate is down a ton. It's at 10% right now, and he's striking out a lot more. 4 runs to 1 RBI. I gotta believe the Yankees get it together offensively at one point, and I don't think Gleyber is going to bat 182 for the season.
Wow. All right. Yeah, that's a tough one, Al. I gotta say. I got one for you, Deary.
Yes.
Would you rather have rest of season redraft, of course, Rafael Montero, or Devin Williams?
Oh God, this is a great one. The concern with Devin Williams is that shoulder. He's still ramping up. He's been dropped in a bunch of leagues that I'm in.
Yeah,
and it's difficult because the guy was unbelievable. Even if he wasn't going to close for the Brewers, his ratios were just phenomenal. Montero's been okay. He's got 3 saves. He's only pitched in, I think, like 9 or 10 innings. The Mariners are off to a really, really nice start. I think I got to go with the guy that's a little more healthy right now. I'm concerned about Devin Williams. The velocity is not there. And, he's going through some shoulder issues. I mean, sure, it was a short season last year, but they pitched him a ton last year. And the Brewers are off to a pretty good start too. And the upside with Devin Williams is fantastic. But, I mean, he is blocked from getting saves. Hader's the guy there. And Montero's been pretty good so far. So I would probably go with Montero. He's going to continue to get the opportunity because I think the Mariners are going to be in a lot of games this year.
Yeah, Montero, even in his own situation with Graveman and Keenan Middleton, like I said, it's a mess there. And Devin Williams is not the Devin Williams of last year because it was a short sample size. I regret that I drafted Devin Williams one time in TGFBI. That was stupid.
I stayed away from both of these guys. I mean, mainly because, like you said, with Williams and then him being blocked by Hader, and with Montero, I just didn't he hasn't really shown much. When he was in Texas, he didn't really do much. And, it's a fluid situation in Seattle, but he's been okay in his situation. So if he can hold on to that back end of the pen, I think he's upwards to 15 to 20 saves.
All right, give me another one.
Let's go with one guy who's been pretty poor, a guy you like a lot, and another guy who's just been steady Eddie, dependent as always. Luis Castillo, pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, and Zach Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Oh boy. It's been a real mess for Castillo.
Yeah.
There's been some velocity dips, I believe.
Yep, it's down 2 miles per hour.
Yes. And he got ripped in San Francisco. I mean, he kind of got away with his last start. Wasn't as great as it should have been either. He might have been lucky. And Zach Wheeler's a guy who I've just never liked because he never delivers consistently. He can rack up some decent outings and stretches. He'll give you a half. I remember that 1 second half a couple years ago. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Zach Wheeler's on the brink of becoming an ace. And it didn't quite develop. So this is tough. I actually think I'll go.
This one is tough.
I don't know. Boy, this is so hard.
Well, it's like, can it be this bad for Castillo the whole time? He's throwing his changeup 40% of the time, and everyone's just laying off of it. Like you talked about, his last start could have been worse. He got out of a bases loaded jam twice last night. Like, it could have been a lot worse.
Damn, man, that is so difficult. I think I'm going to go with Castillo by a hair here because I think he could be better than this. That there was a lot of excitement for me too. My buddy, that Roto Fanatic, we're talking him up a bit, and other people I respect, like Michael Simeone, SP Streamer, say, oh, Luis Castillo, he's going to have the breakout season. I don't know if that's going to happen, but rest of year right now, I'd be willing to take a chance on Castillo and that gorgeous changeup, which is a great pitch still.
Yeah, I would probably lean the same way. I mean, Wheeler has gotten out of a ton of jams. He's still throwing the ball 97 miles per hour. His slider has been good, but his efficiency with his fastball location has been pretty poor so far. He's been lucky, like I said, by getting out of jams, but I think Luis Castillo is a guy that you could throw out a trade and get him for a pretty good price right now because it can't get any worse. Now it does concern me is that his fastball is down 2 miles per hour, but he's not going to depend on his fastball. If he can just locate that, in a spot where he's not going to get a ton of hard contact and he's not going to be barreled up a ton, which has been happening a lot. He's just going to depend on that changeup, and his changeup is electric, and he's throwing it probably a little more than needs to be, and his swing and strike rate is down right now. But I think he's still just trying to figure it out for the start of the season. I think he will be okay moving forward.
We're playing a good old-fashioned game of Would You Rather right now, fantasy baseball style, rest of season. Deary, would you rather have Steven Matz or Carlos Rodon?
Ooh, boy.
Two pitchers who, early on, exceeding expectations wildly.
Somebody sent me a trade offer for Steven Matz. It was a 4th-round pick or someone was trying to give me Steven Matz for a 4th-round pick. Now, this is a league that we play K per 9, and quality starts, and bullpens are huge. So starting pitching just isn't that important. And I don't need Steven Matz. So I rejected it immediately. But Steven Matz has been pretty good. I mean, through 3 starts, he's 3-0, which is fantastic. Now, he's also a guy who hasn't got much of a good track record. He was a disaster with the Mets his last couple of years there. And obviously there's some recency bias with Rodon. He looked amazing in his bid for the perfect game that got blown up by him hitting someone on the foot. Oh, man, this one's tough. I will probably go with Rodon. He had an okay start last night. I like the pedigree of his fastball being back. And he's out there to prove all the doubters wrong. He was a top draft pick. I think he was number 3 overall several years ago. And he's back with the White
North
Sox.
Carolina State. Wolfpack.
He's back with the White Sox. And it's difficult because Rodon really wasn't that good when his first stint with the White Sox. I think he had like one decent year, and then the injuries caught up with him. So if he can stay away from that injury bug and continue to show some of the stuff that he showed last week when he threw that no-hitter, then I think it's probably him going forward. He's also a guy that I might try to sell right now as well. Matz, I think Matz comes back to earth. I don't think he's someone who's going to win double-digit games, and that ERA is not going to sit between it's not going to be under 4. It's going to be over 4, especially in that division that they play in. Once the Yankees get going, he's going to have more struggles. So I would go with Rodon here. 2 lefties. I like that.
Yeah, both of them hot out the gate. The whip is what impressed me with Matz. He's at .81 right now. There's no way that can last. His expected ERA versus his ERA, 2.54. Real ERA is 1.47. So there's a whole run gap between what he's given up and what is expected of him. The walk rate's around basically a career norm. Not too bad. The hard hit rate is what's down right now. He's not giving up as much hard contact. Last year, he was the worst in league, one of the worst in league, 49% hard hit percentage. Right now, it's a 37. So career 35. I think last year is the short sample outlier, and I think he's getting back to who he was. And the Blue Jays might have got themselves a nice little deal. I don't think they gave up too much. I know it was a 3-way trade with them and Boston and Kansas City with the Benintendi and Khalil Lee and all that, right? Because the Mets
he's getting a ton of ground balls right now, and the BABIP is below 200. That will probably spike up closer to a 300. He's normally a guy that sits around 300. Yeah. So I think he's gotten a little lucky. Walk rate, like you said, has been the same, and the Ks are okay. It's kind of on average of what he's done in his career. But yeah, I mean, not bad. I mean, it could be a hidden gem that the Blue Jays got if he goes back to what he was back in 16 and 18 with the Mets, where he was pretty solid.
Bye-bye. All right, give me your last one real quick.
Last one real quick. So 2 closers.
What's the game we're playing? What are we playing?
Would you rather?
Thank you.
Right. So would you rather, for the rest of the year in a redraft only league, have Craig Kimbrell, who I didn't recognize last night. He's got long hair and a beard now. I'm like, who is that guy on the mound? I'm like, oh shit, it's Craig Kimbrell. Craig Kimbrell versus Matt Barnes of the Red Sox, the red hot Red Sox.
Unfucking real. I mean, Matt Barnes. All right, I always praise Vlad Sedler on this show. Always. Like, I bring him up, and it's always in a positive light. He's the king. Yeah, but I still can recall the tweet. He said, friends don't let friends draft Matt Barnes. So I took that to heart. And I also talked
Everybody did.
Yeah, I took to my fellow Rotofanatic pals like Paul Mamino and Carm Majorano. Shout out to all those guys. And we were talking about Matt Barnes in our Slack chat in the offseason. And I remember people saying, this guy walks too many people. Even Matt Williams, he walks too many people.
Yep.
Well, right now, he's getting the job done. He looks great. So is this a fluke?
I think so. I mean, Ks are up, walks are down, Sox are off to a great start. I'm just waiting for the wheels to come off.
Everybody was most people publicly and out loud were bailing on Matt Barnes and say, add him Ottavino. That's why the Yankees traded Ottavino. The Red Sox took advantage of the Yankees in this situation because the Yankees had bullpen parts to spare. And I don't know. I mean, everything is in the red on his StatCast page for Matt Barnes. Expected batting average, slugging, WOBA, expected WOBA. The only thing that's purple is the hard hit percentage. He's being shelled when people do make contact.
He's getting a ton of ground. He's getting a ton of ground balls right now.
That
just not finding the holes. Yeah,
you're right. That's it, Deary. You just nailed it. Ground balls, max EV of 115. Trouble's brewing. And I bet in a month from now, he's no longer the closer. What do you think?
I mean, I think he may have a long leash. I haven't really looked into to see what the rest of that bullpen has done so far. But like I said, I think I'm just waiting for the wheels to fall off. I have 0 shares of Matt Barnes, and it was a lot of what Vlad Sedler was saying at the start of the season. You can't be a closer with a devastating walk rate that he has always had. I always felt he was much better in that setup role. A couple of years ago, he was really, really good in that setup role. And then as soon as they gave him the closer role, everything fell apart.
Yeah, I'm taking Kimbrell all day. Like I said, they prop him up to trade him eventually. If the Cubs can hang around and be in it, then maybe they won't trade him and they'll actually use him as their closer. But he's been stellar. Craig Kimbrell has been stellar. I'll take Kimbrell rest of year, even though Barnes looks great right now. Don't believe the hype. Barnes is a lie. You're a lie, Barnes.
I mean, Kimbrell right now is doing what he always does in terms of walking guys. Like that's always going to be there. But he gets out of trouble when guys are on base and the velocity is there. He has no saves right now, but it's because the Cubs are a mess.
What a mess. All right, you listen to the Hey, it's Rico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, part of the Roto Fanatic Podcast Network. Go to rotofanatic.com right now. Check out the Data Monster. It's got all the stats you need to discover the formula for victory in 2021 and beyond. Prospects, we got you covered down the road too. Prospect outcomes for years ahead. Dig into that thing. It's a cute, cuddly little sweet little buddy. I love the Data Monster.
He's so
Deary,
cute.
He's so cute, Deary. Yeah, I love that guy. Deary, I want to make note.
Yes.
And I hope everybody else did this. I had Spencer Turnbull in like 10 leagues. Almost every league I could think of. He was on my bench or on an IL spot. I was waiting for him to return.
How's
he is back today.
Now? How's he
5
doing?
innings, 6 Ks. Good times. 2-1 lead over the Pirates. Everything I hoped
Oh,
for.
okay.
It was a perfect
Okay.
matchup today. Perfect. This is the perfect way to come back. against the Pirates.
Yeah,
So.
in a doubleheader game. So get 4 or 5 innings out of him, but 6 Ks are good. We like to see that. And I mean, his fastball, he has a great fastball. He never knows where it's going to go half the time when he throws it because it moves so well. But really, really encouraging that he comes back. With what Casey Mize has come out and done. Skubal came out of the bullpen today and looked okay. He got out of a couple jams. So we'll see going forward. Matt Boyd's looked pretty good too, but obviously the Tigers can't do anything offensively, but really encouraging for Spencer Turnbull. I would say if Spencer Turnbull is available in your league and he, just came in and started today, give a look at Turnbull. I think he's a guy that probably gives the best fantasy value on the Tigers staff.
No ill effects from COVID going on, folks. Trust me. He looks like he's ready to go. He feels good. He's going to give you innings, and that's all that matters. Plus, that slider is a great pitch. It's a really nasty pitch. This is proven. Ben Palmer, who works over at Pitcher List, he was on the show earlier this year. He does the top 10 nastiest pitches every year. And I think it was 2019 that Turnbull was on that list. And I was like, oh, shit, okay. That's when I really started to get more into Turnbull. He has a pitch that is a wipeout slider that is, in terms of chase rates, getting people to swing and miss, that's all I care about, and he does that well. All right, time to play. Guess that runner-up fab bid.
Yeah, we got to get some music for this one.
I will. There'll be plenty of music, of course, on the podcast version. YouTube sucks. They take all the fun out of everything, so you can't have music, because if you use music on a show, apparently you're an evil, evil cheat.
So dumb.
But we played this game before. We do the Fab Show, which has been a big success. Everybody's loving our Sunday evening Fab Show, where we talk about upcoming bids and waiver wire pickups and streamers for the week. We'll be doing that every Sunday night. So thank you for those that have tuned in and supported us and connected with us on the live stream. You guys are the people that make it happen. Sub our YouTube channel. That's where the magic is happening. Because the Fab Show, it's just not as good in podcast form after the fact. You need that real-time, in-the-moment updates, especially when you're running waiver wires and fab bids on Sunday nights. So, Deary, I got one for you first, and hopefully you got some for me. I'm going to give you a player, and you're going to tell me, hey, how much did that guy go for? No, we want to know the runner-up bid. So, in my TGFBI league, where is it? Oh, what the hell? My page is frozen. Hey, page, get a clue. Sorry, guys. Internet buzzkill. Here we go. Kendall Graveman.
Okay. This is great because he also, there was a bid in my TGFBI for Kendall Graveman as well.
Of course there was. He was one of the big hits of the weekend. Kendall Graveman was bid $171. That was the winning bid.
Holy
now
shit.
Now you tell me. Yeah, holy shit. What was the runner-up bid?
$90.
Not bad, not bad. 112. That's a good guess, though. That's a good guess. Yeah, $112 was the runner-up to the $171 winner.
He went for $77 in my league.
God damn it. See? There's no consistency to this. Each league is dependent and differs. You can have fab bids and people who are the experts in, like Vlad's the Fab Whisperer. Sure, he is, but league dependent, you're going to see different results for the same player.
Yep.
All right, give me one. What do you got?
All right, Lou Trevino, hot name in this past week. I figured he would be one of the top 2 or 3 guys off the list. He was the top guy this week with a bid from our boy Matty Wood.
Hey,
$278.
$278.
What is the runner-up bid for Lou Trevino, bullpen arm for the Oakland A's?
Well, it's a good investment because I think last week he had 2 saves and a win. Very busy week for him. He just stepped right into that role and has done well. $278. The runner-up bid has got to be $273.
$222.
Okay. Well, I was at least in the 2s. I got that right. I can live with that.
It's not too much over. Like, you spent $278. I mean, it's good to see that someone else bid over $200. It would have been really bad if the next bid was like $50.
Yeah. Yes. those are the ones that hurt the most. Okay. How about another one for you, Deary? I have, Zach McKinstry. Very popular name as well this past weekend of the Dodgers. With the news that Cody Bellinger has a hairline fracture and he might not be back for a while still, Zach McKinstry is making the most of his opportunity, and he was bid at $169. That was the winning bid. What was the running up bid to $169?
I'm going to go with what the winning bid in my TGFBI league was, and it would be $152.
I'm sorry. The actual answer was 67. A big drop off on this one. So,
yep, runner up bid in my TGFBI league was 78 compared to the winning bid of 152.
Isn't that so bizarre? God, that is so bizarre,
really
man. Okay, give me another one.
How about hometown guy Michael Fulmer? He was inserted into the rotation once Tehran went down. He did a spot start today and looked pretty good to start. And then I think he gave 3 runs up in the 4th and the first half of the double dip today. Yeah. Winning bid for Michael Fulmer, $41. What is the runner-up bid?
37.
Ooh, pretty close. 33 is the runner-up bid for Michael Fulmer.
Drats! Michael Fulmer was also picked up in my TGFBI league. $128, though. We're spending a lot more money in my league than your league, apparently.
Yeah, big time.
Good Lord.
Okay.
All right, let me give you one more here. I want to make this interesting. Oh, okay. How about this? DJ Stewart. DJ Stewart of the Baltimore Orioles, one of my favorite players. I love DJ Stewart. He doesn't hit for average, but he's got power and speed, and he can walk. He's got a good eye. DJ Stewart went for $19. What was the runner-up bid?
Wow, $19. I should go back to last week's bids where Stewart went, and it was more than $19. I know that. I would say the runner-up bid was $15.
So close. That's a great answer. 16 was the answer. 16. That's a really good response, though.
Yeah. Why do I get like the "you're a loser" sound?
I get it too. I give it to myself. I was wrong last time. Give me one more.
One. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Oh man, none of these guys are interesting. Let's go with a guy who's looked pretty good so far. Jacob Junis. Starting pitcher for the Kansas City Royals, went for $18.
Good Lord. I'm going to say $11.
$16 was the runner-up bid for Jacob Junis.
Wow. Okay. There it is. That is another edition of Guess That Runner-Up Fab Bid. We hope you enjoyed it. It's always a good time to play that game. I love that game. It's a lot of fun. Brian K., one of our dedicated listeners and viewers on the live stream. Brian K., what up, buddy? He says, hey, fellas, I got one piece of advice, as it happened to me last week. When managing lineups on multiple teams with your start-sit moves and IL activations, make sure you hit done or submit. Oh, no. Poor Brian. That hurts. Yeah, you want to finish the transaction by submitting or clicking done and getting a check mark or some type of dialog box that says, hey, you did it.
You know, it's actually one of the few things I actually like about Yahoo is you don't have to hit any submit button or anything. You just move the guy there and it's submitted. It's the one thing that Yahoo does well.
Yeah, remember it used to be the classic way where you had to click the arrows and then still save it. And then they finally switched to that Java Flash version, whatever it is now. You're right. That's true. Rarely do we give credit to Yahoo, but when it's deserved, we'll give it to them. Brian says a couple of sites autosave it, like Deary just mentioned, and then you get comfortable. It makes you taste metal when you bite your cheek. Ew. Brian, that's disgusting.
Metal.
Ew.
Metal. It tastes like a Heineken. Tastes like a Coors Light.
Oh, God. All right, before we go, I wanted to do... Okay, I'm going to do a couple of things here. We're going to blow it out real quick. This is called Return of the Mac. Players that are on the brink of returning that will make an impact. Return on the Mac. That's right. Return on the Mac.
Was that 95, 96?
I want to say like 97. I'll have to verify that.
I was definitely driving by then. So, yeah, 97.
Sometimes I confuse Return of the Mac with Craig Mack, Flavor in Your Ear, which is a different song. 1996, Deary. 96. Okay. Well done. Okay. Anywho, players that are about to make an impact and help your squad. Now, we're trying to get ahead of the game here. We're probably talking future fab bids, but you might have them on your IL roster, COVID, etc. Get ready. Player number one for me is Brendan Rodgers. Remember Brendan Rodgers, okay? Colorado Rockies, he was exciting in spring. He was running and he was hitting, and there was a chance that he was really going to maybe have that breakout season we've all been waiting for. He's getting closer to returning, and he's on the brink of coming back to the Rockies no later than the end of the month, most likely. So I think there's an impact here. I know the Rockies can be annoying as hell. Their roster decisions are the bafflers of all bafflers. There's no doubt about it. But Brendan Rodgers is out there, and I want you guys to take advantage of it. So pick him up now. If he's on the free agent wire, stash him on the IL, or make whatever roster move accordingly allows you to do that in your league.
Beautiful.
Deary?
Brendan Rodgers.
You got one?
Yeah, I mean, Key Brian Hayes should be at the alternate site today, and I'm really interested to see how he recovers from this wrist injury. Obviously, he had an amazing season last year, and he was a hot name. Really started moving up a lot of the draft boards as we got closer to the season starting, and then it was just a real bummer that he went down early. Pirates have been competing. There's some guys doing really well. Brian Reynolds is batting over 300 right now. Phil Evans has been a guy who's come out of nowhere, who's probably going to hit the bench now that Hayes is going to come back. But keep an eye on Hayes if you have him on your roster, just how he progresses with that wrist once he comes back. And hopefully we see him here in the next week.
Guess who pitched 29 pitches and then left?
Who?
Dinelson Lamet. 29
Oh,
pitches. And that was it.
How did it look?
Told you. He's done. He left with forearm tightness. I mean,
Oh, did he?
yeah, that was
yeah.
it.
Good.
He left in the second inning because he can't pitch. He's not healthy. Why do they try to live a lie? Why do they try to make us believe this bullshit?
Who's believing this? I'm not believing this.
I wasn't either, but they kept pushing it on us like we're morons. And every time anybody asked me, hey, do you think Lamet's healthy? I'm like, there's just no way.
It's not for us, man.
Well, we were right. We were right about this one. And I feel really good about that because that's just a bunch of shit. And that makes me question the Tatis injury too. Like, what do we really know there? Tatis has not been a world beater since he came back either. How long can this go? What can he really give to each and every one of us from a fantasy perspective this year? Truly.
I'm not in on Lamet whatsoever. He's a 2-pitch guy, and he's got injury histories, and he hasn't pitched a ton of innings. Like, I'm out. I don't want any part of Dinelson Lamet. And 29 innings today, like maybe he needs to go the Rick Ankiel route and become a hitter.
Yeah, Tatis had a hit and a walk today. So if you were wondering, hey, well, he did something. I mean, if that's what you expected from your top 5 overall pick, then great. Congratulations. A hit and a walk. Hitting 154 in the year.
MLB Network was doing this thing on Tatis the other night where he's switching to this like 2-handed swing to protect his shoulder now, which I think is really interesting.
God damn it. Dinelson Lamet failing. I wasn't rooting for him to fail, but it was just so obvious. Don't try to bullshit us, Preller. I respect you. He made a lot of good moves, but don't fuck with us.
He made these moves because he knows Lamet cannot be healthy.
Yeah, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, I want to give more time to the Shine or Ride the Pine document, but I want to give it a lot more time. So let's do it on Friday. We'll set a segment up. Yeah. We'll dedicate it because I really want to talk about some of the opinions and results that came through. I think we're having I think we confirmed this. Eric Samolsky is going to join us on Friday.
Okay.
He's a pitching dude. He knows pitching. He's online. He's a pretty cool guy. He's at Samsky, SAMSKINYC. And if he's not coming on Friday, then he's going to come on next week. But I'm pretty sure we're going to set that up. He was actually stuck in Barbados because there was that volcano wouldn't let him fly out. You know, there's a big volcano that exploded.
I have no idea about the volcano in Barbados.
I know, neither did I. But there's a whole thing going on out there in the world that we don't even know about. But he's back safe and sound in New York City. So he'll be on the show. And then we're going to have Aaron Pags, Aaron, our guy from the, oh my God, he's going to yell at me. Aaron, don't yell at me. You're a good man and thorough. He's going to be on the show next week, I believe, at Fantasy Triage, of course. That's how I know him. But Aaron Pags is a great guy. He really knows his relief pitching, too. And he's been a big, huge proponent of our show. So I'm really looking forward to having Aaron come on the show next week. He does the show with Nate Markham, which is a great podcast that you should all be checking out in your own right. And he lives in Charleston, South Carolina. I can't wait to talk to him about Charleston because I used to live there.
Your old stomping grounds. I mean, you've lived everywhere in the
I've been everywhere.
I've been everywhere, man. This will be great. Season has started. We're gonna have our first set of guests coming on. This is great. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. I'm looking forward to it myself. Quickly, anybody else that's about to come back that you want people to know about?
Teoscar Hernandez should be back here in the next week. Interested to see what happens if he's experiencing any kind of like letdowns from having COVID and being out for the last couple of weeks. So he should be back here next week. The Blue Jays certainly need him. He's actually been dropped in a couple of my leagues, which is interesting to me, but he also didn't start off very hot. So this is going to be really, really interesting to see if Teoscar gets it going after having COVID. It's kind of going to be our first guy who's been out for an extended period of time because of COVID and then coming back. So does he go the Freddie Freeman route where he ends up MVP, or is it going to be more of a Juan Moncada from last year?
What's it going to be? You tell me.
I don't know.
Oh,
I have no prediction on this one. No insane fantasy take for Teoscar. I'm too scared.
What about Julian Merriweather? Is he coming back soon?
I think they said he was going to stick on the DL for more than 10 days. I'm kind of waiting on him, and I have him and Romano in one of my leagues, and I'm kind of running out of patience because I got a couple more guys injured and I don't have any spots.
Spaghetti-O. Yeah, he is not coming back when the IL stint expires. It's an oblique, though. The original reporting was about a hip injury, but it ended up being the oblique, so that's going to be something as a pitcher, pain in the ass, right?
Dude, yeah, absolutely. If your arm's not hurting, your legs are in trouble. If your legs are in trouble, it's just as bad as an arm, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. Otherwise, there's not a ton of guys that, I mean, the big name players like George Springer, you would already have on your roster. But as far as looking for guys that are off the radar that might be coming up or making an impact, I didn't see a ton of options right now, and I want you guys to be aware of all possibilities going forward on the Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, part of the Roto Fanatic Podcast Network. Don't forget Palazzo Podcast at protonmail.com is our email. Palazzo Podcast on Twitter and Facebook. Our YouTube channel, 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Give me 2.
We love talking baseball with you guys. We'll be back on Friday for our Friday show. And, of course, the Sunday Fab Show, talking streamers and waiver wire pickups. And the following week, it'll be the last week of April before we head into May. And, soon enough, it'll be summertime, and we'll be in the full swing of things, Deary. Aren't you excited?
I am so excited. The snow is now melting. It snowed yesterday here in Ann Arbor. Like, what the fuck?
It did. It really snowed. It wasn't a joke.
We had 2 weeks of like 65, 70-degree weather, and then it snows. I don't get it.
Yeah, my gas was out. I was like, I won't need any heat anymore. And then it snowed yesterday, and I really did need the heat, it turns out. So, one other guy I want to mention, Christian Walker. Take a look at him. He should be coming back sooner than later. I don't know if it'll be this week, but next week, I think Christian Walker will return from the IL for the Diamondbacks, and that's a nice guy. Pick up some power, and surprisingly enough, he can run some bags too. Cheap steals and power, always a good thing in fantasy baseball.
Run those bags.
Run those bags. Run those bags. Woo, 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 woo. Run those bags. All right, I'm Michael Govier. MJ Govier. GOV is in Victor. IER on Twitter. He's Chris Deary. C. Deary 1999. Dearly, as in dearly beloved, of course. We'll see you guys on Friday. Bye-bye.
See ya.